This video is on copyright and intellectual property use in digital media production. According to the U.S. Government Copyright Office, copyright can be defined as a form of protection provided by the laws of the United States to authors of original works of authorship, including literary, dramatic, musical, artistic, and certain other intellectual works. It's very important to understand copyright, especially as digital media designers or instructional designers. Copyright protects original work. Violating it is a form of stealing. Who does copyright protect? Some examples are employers who hire workers to complete work on their behalf, educators who are using material for educational purposes in a nonprofit entity, authors of original work that is not paid for by a company, students who write original essays, artists who write music or create original artwork, and so forth. There are many, many examples of this. So it's important to understand not only the nature of the work, but also the place of employment where the person is coming from who wrote the work. Why copyright is important. Continued. Vaughan indicates it's easy for others to steal your coding and manipulate it to fit their needs. So, in other words, as a designer, your work can be stolen. So we're getting copyright from the other aspect, and that is that you don't want your work to be stolen. In order to avoid this, you want to do some things that Vaughan suggests, such as organizing a method for tracking the receipt of material that you will incorporate into your multimedia project, developing a file naming convention specific to your project's structure, and ensuring version control of your files, especially in large projects. There are many consequences of copyright violations, but here's a couple of examples. The U.S. Government Copyright Office indicates it's illegal for anyone to violate any of the rights provided by the copyright law to the owner of copyright. What does that mean for you? Digital media that's meant to be shared must be original or borrowed, must have the author's consent to use it. This includes videos, pictures, text, among other things. Violators of copyright are open to lawsuits. This can cause the loss of money and reputation and cost a person a great deal, including loss of a career. It can also embarrass a company and also cause a company to lose a good reputation. The next 6 slides will be scenario slides to do some practice. First, a scenario will be provided on one slide, then a slide will follow with a discussion of how to apply copyright rules appropriately. Let's practice. For our first case study, you are an educator or instructional designer, having created an extra how-to video for your students on how to format an APA paper correctly. You share it with your students through their course. The librarian at the school has seen your video and asked to have permission to place it in the library. Some things to consider. First, is this video protected under copyright? And second, to whom does this property really belong? You have to do some digging and figure out, first of all, if you are working for a nonprofit or for-profit organization, and whether or not you have signed a form that indicates the rights to your property that you created for that employer. In some cases, if you're working for a nonprofit organization, you have academic freedom and the work that you create is considered your own. However, in other cases, you might be working for an employer who has a clause in your contract or has had you sign a document indicating that any of the work that you create for that employer belongs to that employer. So it's very important to do the research first before second guessing. For case study 2, you found some pictures on the internet that would work well in a training course you design. Because you found them on the internet, you decide to use them. They're public anyway, right? Wrong. Simply because something is found on the internet doesn't mean you have the automatic right to it. You need to find out who the author is and whether or not the graphics are copyrighted. Also, you have to consider your own employment. Think about, do you work for a nonprofit organization, just like the previous case study? If so, obtaining copyright permission might be easier. Keep in mind the nature of your employment can make a difference in whether or not you are allowed to use material. Also, it's always best to do the research first on any graphics or anything that you find on the internet. A lot of times, if it's copyrighted material, it will have a signature icon or it will indicate that it is copyrighted right there with that document. For case study 3, you have created a Prezi that includes information you found from a website based in another country. Other countries are not protected by U.S. government's copyright laws. Yes or no? The answer is no. According to the U.S. Government Copyright Office, copyright protection is available for unpublished works, regardless of the nationality or domicile of the author. It's important for you to check on whether or not this publication falls under copyright laws or not. It's better to do the research first. In short, copyright must be considered when borrowing any material that is not original. It should also be considered when you are creating work that is original under the umbrella of employment. A good rule of thumb to follow is, when in doubt, check it out. Thank you for watching this recording. These are the references and resources that are recommended on copyright.